Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. Or, if it's your first time here, you picked the perfect video to start with. Tonight, I've got something truly chilling lined up for you. 3 terrifying stories that will make you question reality, and maybe even double-check your mirrors before bed. These aren't your typical ghost stories. They're the kind that stick with you, the kind that leave you wondering if something is lurking just out of sight. So, turn off the lights, grab your headphones, and get ready, because this might just be the scariest video you'll watch tonight. Let's dive in, if you dare. I've never been someone who believed in the paranormal. Ghost stories, creepy videos, they were just entertainment to me. But what happened last year changed everything. It started on a random Thursday night. I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone, when I noticed a voicemail notification. Odd, because my phone never rang. I checked the caller ID and my heart nearly stopped. It was from Jason, but Jason had been dead for 2 weeks. I sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking. I almost didn't listen to it, but curiosity got the better of me. I hit play. The message started with static, harsh and loud. But then I heard it, Jason's voice. He was crying, whispering something I couldn't quite make out. It was like he was struggling to speak, gasping for air. "Help! Please, I don't know where I am." I froze. His voice sounded distant, broken, but it was him. There was no mistaking it. "Jason?" I whispered, as if he could hear me. The voicemail continued. "It's dark, so cold. They're here, I can't." Then, a loud crash echoed through the message, followed by muffled whispers, dozens of them overlapping, like a crowd speaking in hushed tones. I strained to hear, my heart racing. Then Jason's voice returned, weaker now. "They're coming. It's not over. They're coming for you next." The message ended with a long, piercing static before cutting off entirely. I dropped the phone. My entire body was trembling. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Jason had died in a car accident. Instant impact. There was no way this was real. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was an old message, something that got stuck in the system, but the timestamp, it was from an hour ago. I called my phone company the next morning, desperate for answers. They checked the logs but told me there was no record of that call. According to them, it never happened. I didn't sleep that night. Every shadow in my apartment seemed darker, heavier. I kept replaying the voicemail, trying to understand it. But something strange happened on the 5th playback. The background whispers, they were getting louder. I could almost make out words now. My name, over and over, whispered in different voices. I deleted the message. I didn't care if it was a prank or some glitch. I just wanted it gone, but that didn't stop it. The next night I was brushing my teeth when I heard it. Faint but clear. My phone ringing from the other room. I walked over slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. The caller ID? Unknown number. I answered, my voice trembling. "Hello?" There was nothing but static. Then, the whispers started again. Closer this time, louder. "Who is this?" I yelled. Then, a deep voice, distorted and cold, spoke just 2 words. "Found you." The line went dead. I dropped my phone and ran out of my apartment. I didn't go back for days. Even now, months later, my phone sometimes rings in the middle of the night. Always an unknown number. I never answer anymore. But sometimes I wake up to find new voicemails. No caller ID, no timestamp, just the sound of heavy breathing and my name being whispered, over and over. I don't know what followed me from that first message, but I know one thing. It's still here, and it's waiting. I never believed in the supernatural. Ghost stories, hauntings, they were just that, stories. But what happened to me last year still keeps me awake at night, questioning everything I thought I knew. It all started when I moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. It was cheap, almost too cheap, but I didn't think much of it. I was excited, new place, fresh start. The first night was strange. I remember waking up at exactly 3:13 a.m. I wasn't sure why, there was no noise, no reason, but I was wide awake. My room felt colder, like someone had opened a window, but when I checked, everything was shut tight. Then I heard it, a faint tapping, like someone gently knocking on the wall from the inside. I froze, my heart racing. It was so soft, I thought maybe I was imagining it. But then it happened again. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I wanted to believe it was the pipes, or maybe the old building settling. I told myself anything I could to ignore the sinking feeling in my stomach. But the next night, the tapping came back. Same time, 3:13 a.m. This time, it was louder, closer. I got out of bed, grabbed a flashlight, and started checking the walls. I knocked back, hoping, praying. It was just something explainable, but there was no response. I barely slept that night. Every creak, every gust of wind had me on edge. By the 3rd night, I was terrified to go to sleep, but exhaustion took over. At 3:13 a.m., I woke up again. But this time, it wasn't the tapping that woke me. It was the sound of whispering, soft, hushed voices like they were right next to my ear. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but they were there. I sat up, my breathing shallow, my heart pounding so hard I could barely hear over it. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice cracking. The whispering stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, the closet door creaked open. I didn't move. I couldn't. My flashlight was still on the nightstand, just out of reach. I watched, frozen, as the door slowly opened wider, revealing nothing but darkness inside. Then, I saw it. A pale hand, thin and skeletal, reached out from the shadows. I grabbed my flashlight, shining it directly into the closet, but there was nothing there. The hand was gone. The door was wide open, but the closet was empty. I left the apartment that night. I packed a bag and stayed at a friend's place, but even then, I wasn't safe. A week later, I started hearing the tapping again, but this time, it wasn't at 3:13 a.m. It was random, at my friend's house, in broad daylight. And the whispers? They followed me. One night, I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth when I saw something in the mirror, just for a split second. A face behind me, pale, sunken eyes staring right at me. I spun around. Nothing. I've tried everything, cleansings, moving to a new place, therapy, but nothing helps. They're still with me. And sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I still hear that soft tapping, right behind me. I never really thought about mirrors before. They're just there. You use them every day to brush your teeth, fix your hair, maybe check your outfit before heading out. But after what happened to me, I can't look into one without feeling watched. It started about a month ago. I was getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth like usual. I looked into the bathroom mirror, completely zoned out, when I noticed something off. At first I thought I was just tired, but as I moved my toothbrush to the right, I swear my reflection moved a split second later. Like there was a tiny lag, I laughed it off. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe I was just exhausted. But then it happened again and again. Over the next few days, I started noticing more. Little things. Like when I'd smile, the reflection's grin would stretch just a bit too wide. Or when I turned away from the mirror, I'd catch the reflection still staring at me out of the corner of my eye. I told myself it was stress. Work had been intense lately, and lack of sleep can make you see weird things. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. One night, I decided to test it. I stood in front of the mirror, staring directly at my reflection. I raised my right hand. It followed. I tilted my head. It copied. But then, I quickly jerked my head to the side, and the reflection smiled. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the bath mat. My heart was racing. No way, that just happened. I covered the mirror with a towel. I didn't want to see it again. But that night, as I tried to sleep, I heard it. Soft whispers, coming from the bathroom. I got up, slowly walking toward the door. The whispers grew louder. I placed my ear against the door, and I swear I heard my own voice whispering from inside. I yanked the towel off the mirror, but it was just me, staring back. Normal. I tried to ignore it, but every mirror I passed, at home, at work, even shop windows, I kept catching glimpses. My reflection, watching me, smiling, whispering things I couldn't hear. One night, there was a blackout. The entire apartment went dark. I lit a candle and made my way to the bathroom. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the mirror, and my reflection wasn't there. I froze. Then, I felt it. Breath on the back of my neck. I spun around. Nothing. When I turned back to the mirror, the reflection was back, but it wasn't copying me anymore. It was waving. I couldn't take it. I grabbed a hammer and smashed the mirror. Glass shards scattered everywhere. But in each broken piece, I saw my reflection. Dozens of them. Each one smiling, each one whispering. I threw the shards away, got rid of every mirror in the apartment. But now, I see them in puddles, in windows, in the glint of my phone screen. They're still watching, and sometimes, I swear, they're getting closer. I moved into the apartment a week ago. It was nothing special, small, cheap, close to work, exactly what I needed. But there was something off-finite about it. There was a door in the hallway, a door that shouldn't exist. It didn't lead to another apartment. It had no number, no handle, just a rusted keyhole and a chipped black frame that looked ancient. At first, I thought maybe it was just a maintenance closet or something, but something about it made my skin crawl. I asked the landlord about it. He went pale. That door, it doesn't exist. I laughed, thinking he was joking. Come on, it's right there. His face darkened. Don't talk about it. Don't touch it. Don't even look at it. Then he turned and walked away. Fast, like he couldn't get away from me fast enough. That night, I heard it. Knocking. Soft at first. A slow, deliberate tap, tap, tap against the wood. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. It had to be a neighbor, someone messing around. But as I listened, I realized something terrifying. The sound was coming from inside the door. I told myself I was imagining things, that my brain was playing tricks on me. But the next night, the knocking came again, louder. I recorded it on my phone, but when I played it back, there was nothing, just silence. Like the sound had never existed, like the door itself wasn't real. I barely slept. Every night the knocking grew more insistent. Then, on the 5th night, it changed. It wasn't knocking anymore. It was biting, scratching, like something on the other side was desperate to get out. I couldn't take it. I grabbed a flashlight and stood in front of the door. My hands shook as I reached out and knocked. For the first time in my life, I regretted everything. The second my knuckles touched the wood, the air around me turned freezing. My breath came out in white puffs. My skin prickled, and a horrible, rotting stench filled the hallway. Then, my phone vibrated. I pulled it out. A notification. Unknown number. You shouldn't have done that. I almost dropped the phone. My hands were ice cold. My stomach twisted. My whole body screamed at me to run, but I didn't. I turned the handle. It shouldn't have opened. It was always locked. But this time, it swung inward without a sound. Inside was nothing. Just a black void, stretching into endless darkness. The flashlight beam didn't even penetrate it. It was like staring into a hole where the universe ended. Then, I saw it. A hand. Pale, withered fingers. Crawled out from the darkness, followed by an arm, then a face. A face that looked exactly like mine. It smiled. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Unknown number, take his place. The thing lunged. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The door slammed shut. Silence. I woke up in my bed. The door was gone. No sign it had ever existed. Just smooth white wall where it had been. My phone was still in my hand. Screen cracked. The last message burned into the glass. You're next. I don't know what happened that night. I don't know if I dreamed it, if I imagined the whole thing, or if I'm not me anymore. All I know is, sometimes, when I'm alone, I hear knocking. I should have ignored the call. It was just past 2 a.m. I was alone in the security office of St. Mary's Hospital. Well, what used to be St. Mary's. The place had been shut down for years after the fire. My job? Just watch the cameras, make sure no one sneaks in. Easy money, or so I thought. Then, the phone rang. Not my cell, not the radio. The kokai on old landline sat at the front desk. I just stared at it. My heart started pounding. That phone wasn't even connected. The lines were cut off years ago. It rang again. I picked up. Hello? A voice. Faint, weak, trembling. Help me, please. I'm on the 4th floor, room 426. I swallowed hard. Who is this? Static. Then, click. The call ended. A shiver ran through me. I tried to shake it off. Prank call. Had to be. Maybe someone hacked into the system. Maybe some kids broke in. I checked the monitors. Nothing. But my gut told me I needed to check that room. Grabbing my flashlight, I stepped into the dark hallway. My boots echoed against the tiled floor as I made my way up the stairs. The 4th floor was worse than I remembered. Cold, abandoned, reeking of smoke. Then I saw it. Room 426. The door was open. I swallowed hard. My flashlight beam flickered over an old hospital bed, and someone was lying under the sheets, my stomach twisted. Hello? My voice came out hoarse. Are you okay? No response. I stepped closer. My hand trembled as I reached for the blanket. Something felt wrong. Then my radio crackled to life. A voice. My boss. Don't move! Get out of there! Right now! I froze. The air turned freezing. The bed creaked, and the figure under the sheets sat up, slowly. A burned, melted face stared back at me. Charred skin, hollow eyes, mouth hanging open like it wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then the hospital phone rang again. Downstairs, my blood turned to ice. I ran. Down the stairs, through the hall, nearly tripping over myself. The ringing got louder. I reached the front desk, hands shaking as I picked up the receiver. Silence. Then, that same voice. You found me? Click. The line went dead. I stepped back, my breath shallow, my heart hammering. The silence in the hospital was deafening. Then, footsteps. Not mine. Slow, shuffling footsteps coming from Cham behind the desk. I whipped around, my flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Nothing, but the air felt heavy, like something was standing right next to me, watching, waiting, then a whisper, right next to my ear. Why did you leave me? I spun around. Nobody. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to move. Get out! Get out! Get out! I stumbled toward the exit, but as I reached the door, slam. It shut on its own, hard, like someone, or something, didn't want me to leave. I yanked at the handle. Locked. My radio crackled again, but it wasn't my boss this time. It was the same voice from the phone. Software weak. Right in my ear. You can't leave. Then my flashlight flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, I saw them. Figures. Dozens of them. Lurking in the shadows. Burned, disfigured, watching me with hollow, black eyes. Then the phone rang again. I turned to look, and the front desk was still on fire. Bright orange flames licking up the walls, consuming the papers, the desk, the phone. I could feel the heat, smell the burning. It was happening again. I screamed, covering my face, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, the fire was gone. The figures were gone. Everything was normal. But I was standing in the middle of the hallway, my flashlight still on, my radio silent. I don't remember how I got outside. I don't remember not leaving, but I never went back. I quit that night, and I told myself I'd forget it ever happened. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, my phone rings, and when I answer, I hear Pucky breathing.